Yo, so this is for all my leaders out there. Have you ever invited feedback and then when you got that feedback, you felt like you kind of got punched in the gut? Now, you can handle this a couple different ways. Now, A, you can let that sting cost you your credibility, or B, you can let it sharpen you. Let's talk about that second option. I'm Dr. Gene A. White Jr., and I am the founder of Genetic Leadership, and I help stressed and emerging leaders to redesign their leadership DNA so that they can lead with clarity and conviction. Now, here's some of the problems with allowing that sting to affect you emotionally and affect your leadership and how you react in these situations. Number one, if that feedback triggers your ego, then your emotion will hijack your intention. So there's research that shows that EQ outranks IQ when it comes to your leadership skills here in the year 24 and 25. But here's the problem. Leaders will still react when this feedback hurts. They'll shut down or they may even retaliate. All of these responses are something that we don't want as a strong leader. So let's talk about what are the pitfalls and what we need to avoid. See, I've been in a few different environments and I've seen examples of these things happening. I remember one time I worked for a manager who we knew when we came to work that depending on how that particular manager was feeling that day, we would respond in how we would act during those days. So we got to the point where we would call each other before we even got to work that day. Hey, what kind of mood are they in today? If it was a good mood, cool. You come in, you all smiles, you're going to have a good time. You're going to go in and you know that you're going to be productive and you're not going to have this manager saying something crazy that's going to set you off or that's going to put you in a bad attitude where you couldn't get any work done and you just ready to go home. What is going on? All right, hopefully that didn't mess up my whole recording here as far as the story I was telling because my continuity camera keeps disconnecting from my iPod. I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to keep recording and just see where this video comes out because, hey, we're not perfect, but we are trying to become better each and every day, each and every moment. It's what we do, genetic. So anyway, now, if that boss was coming in and we would call in and we knew that they were in a bad mood, well, I know that I'm going to go into this job and they better not say nothing to me and I'm not going to say nothing to them. I'm just going on here. I'm not going to engage. I'm not going to do anything. So we as employees or team members for this particular leader, we reacted based on the attitude or the mood that that particular leader was having on a daily basis. And this is kind of toxic if you ask me. I've learned a long time ago, and this was early in my career, that I didn't want to be the type of leader that my team had to react negatively based on my negative reactions. So what I would do is if I felt like I was in a negative mindset or a negative spirit, then I would do what I need to get done as far as the team was concerned, delegate any tasks that I need to, but I would try to not just put a mask on from that aspect of it, but I would actually try to get some work done in my office. My office was still available, even though the door may be closed. I may be working on some different things, but I would try not to cast that negative energy off onto my team members. Now, I will say this is tough to do. Your team is always going to notice when there is a change or if you're not feeling well. And then if you have built enough rapport with the team, then they're going to come back and they're going to ask, hey, Gene, are you okay? Everything going all right? Yeah, I'm doing cool. I just got a lot of things I got on my mind. I'm trying to work through some things. What can I support you with? Is there anything I can help you with? And still keeping it supportive, still keeping that mindset of we're in this together. But you may be going through some things at home. You may be going through some things out at the job that are putting you in a feeling that is negative to the productivity here at work. But you never want to be in a situation where you have your team members who are literally calling each other before they come to work to see what kind of mood you're in because they can act accordingly based on whatever the mood that is. Now, in another example of this, I had leadership who would ask for feedback and they asked for this feedback, and public feedback was given to them, but then the actions, whether private or public, that happened after that feedback was given gave the perception that there was some type of retaliation or some type of conversation that happened based on that feedback that made that leader feel a certain type of way. Now the team members are coming back and telling us publicly that, hey, we apologize. We shouldn't have said that, those different things. Now, I say all that to say that people's perception, it is their reality. And as a leader, you are going to make mistakes. It's a part of growing. It's a part of learning. It's a part of getting 1% better every day on it. But you also want to be mindful that you're going to actually set the example for everybody that rolls up to you. And then also your peers. There are people that look up to you that you don't even know are actually paying attention. And so because you get emotional about something, it's like having a little one around the house. I mean, they're watching you when you don't know that they're watching you. And then all of a sudden they'll do something that mimics something that you've done, and you know exactly where it came from. And it probably is something that you may not want them to do. And now you have to try to explain and provide logic, which they may not even be old enough to even understand the logic yet, but they'll do things and you're like, oh my gosh. So let me try to correct this situation. And you pray that they don't do that in public. But anyhow, your team members and your peers are kind of like this when they look up to you as a leader. And I've had situations where there have been some of my colleagues who have come to me and they've told me that they admire my leadership, that they are looking up to me, that they learn a lot from me. And I just am going about my normal routines, and I'm trying to always get better each and every day to run across situations. I may not like how I handle those situations, but I'm reflecting, I'm writing in my journal, and I am actually trying to be better the next time that comes in, or that next time that situation happens. So you want to be cognizant that people are watching you, people are learning from you, good and bad, but you hope that you would be setting enough examples that are good, that they are picking up on those leadership skills and those qualities that are going to help them grow and develop, which will also help you to grow and develop. So let's talk about a few of these pitfalls that you want to avoid after I've gone and rambled about these personal stories. And I wish I could go into more detail about them, but they're crazy. But anyhow, pitfall number one is emotional hijack. Now, symptoms of emotional hijack, where your emotions hijack your intention. You have pulse spikes in your body, and then also your tone shifts. For me, I have a higher pitched voice. So when I get excited or if I get upset, then my octave goes to like 3 more levels higher. And you know that I'm upset because my tone shifts upwards into a higher frequency. When you present these symptoms to your team, then the trust that they have for you, it starts to erode. And that's not something that you really want to happen. You don't want the trust to erode with your team. You spend so much time working and doing the things that are going to build that relationship and that camaraderie with your team, that they trust you and value you as a leader. You don't want to make one mistake that will allow you to start to break that trust. Another pitfall when somebody is giving you feedback and you feel attacked is that you become defensive, or you may masquerade that defensiveness like it's data seeking. So instead of you just owning that somebody is challenging you and you're feeling like you're attacked, and you come back and you're just like, show me proof. Well, now you've just gave them a signal that potentially means that you just don't really care. So I don't care about what you're saying right now, but I just want you to show me proof. And until you show me proof, I'm not going to believe that your feedback is valid. So that's another pitfall that you want to try to avoid. And then the last one is retaliation or silent scorekeeping. Now go back to the example that I gave where the public feedback was given, but then subsequently those individuals actually came back and publicly apologized and stated they basically recanted their statements publicly. When you have retaliation or apparent retaliation, then there's a kind of a ticker that leadership, you as a leader may be keeping. Oh, I remember that time where I had this feedback given by this person. So now when they come up for a promotion, they come up for a bigger opportunity. Are you actually holding them back from a promotion, or withholding important projects or opportunities from them because of this retaliation. Now, you may not be the one that's actually directly keeping this person who made the comments or gave the feedback. You may not be keeping them out of an opportunity, but then if you're not the one who is also being an advocate for them, there could be somebody on your team, leadership or whatever, that's in a position to keep that person from progressing or having an opportunity. So now, when this happens, you didn't directly keep that person from progressing or promoting, but because of your reaction, someone else was able to do that because their admiration for you will motivate them to keep you happy. Now, the aftershock of this type of action or this reaction to a feeling of being attacked as a leader is that voices go silent and innovation dies. So if people can see that team member A decided that they were going to speak up and now there's retaliation against that person because they spoke up, or there is that quote unquote target on their back, because I've been in multiple situations where there was a target apparently on somebody's back for speaking up. When they feel like there's a target on the back of anybody who actually speaks up against or gives feedback that is unwanted by the leader, then everybody shuts down. Well, I'm not going to speak up because if I do, I'm going to have a target on my back and then I'm going to be scared for my job, or I'm not going to get a chance to get an opportunity, or if a promotion comes up, then I won't apply because I spoke up that one time and I feel like the leadership team is not going to support me in this endeavor. So when voices go silent, then nobody is going to start to speak up when you ask for this feedback. And if you're openly asking for this feedback, be open to the feedback and take a moment to soak all of that in when it comes to you. Now, I know I've talked a lot about these pitfalls on it and given some kind of deeper examples on it, and I hope that you are picking up what I'm putting down. But let's talk a little bit about the genetic core response and how should you respond when you feel attacked as a leader. Now, keep in mind, the attack or the feedback doesn't necessarily have to be true, but as you're receiving this feedback, here are some things that you should do, or 4 steps that you can do to process this feedback without alienating your team or making them feel uncomfortable or losing trust or credibility with your team. Number 1 is clarity of self. And in this response, you want to notice the trigger and name that feeling. Take a 3-second breath and respond after you've taken that breath. That's a pause. So this is why I think journaling is so important as a leader. Reflection. I mean, it doesn't have to be a formal journal. You don't have to go out and take up a certain method like the bullet journal is what I ended up using, but you need to have a way to process what you're feeling and to write those things down so that you can actually have a way to work through whatever feelings or emotions that you're actually feeling when it comes to the job. So take your 3-second breath, reset. So the next step in this process is to have operational integrity. So with this step, you can ask one clarifying question. So that could be, can you give me an example so that I can understand what you mean? Simple as that. You've taken your breath, you've got that feeling, you know what it is, but now you've taken your breath and you say, hey, can you give me an example so that I can understand what you mean? Now, after they've given you the example, or maybe they have to think about it, but regardless of if they can or cannot give you the example, then we move into the relational intelligence piece of the 4-step process, and that's in thanking that person. So we always building those relationships with them. So thank the person and show them that you have heard what their feedback is and that you appreciate it. The 4th step in this is that you want to have an evolution mindset, so 1% better each day. So with this particular situation, we're going to decide that we're going to take one part of that feedback, whatever it is. We want to make sure that we're trying to show a visible change within the next 7 days, and then follow up with that team member who's giving you feedback. So what is it that can be changed from the feedback that I received? What can we do to make that change within the next 7 days? And then get follow-up feedback from that person. Now you're really starting to build that bridge. You're starting to gather what is necessary to continue to build on the trust that you've already established with your team. How do we put this into practical terms? I know I talked about the journal, but let's say when we're working with our team, you have meetings, right? So with your meetings, you want to make sure that you are writing down and you have this mindset, this intention set out before your meeting. So take a second and write a 2-line intention that you're going to have that is set, that gives you the goal and the outcome of what you're looking for with this meeting, if this is a feedback meeting. And then it's also going to build your resilience. So as a leader, these are things that you should be working on daily. And another practical thing that you could do with your team is that you can start a feedback scoreboard. And once a quarter, here as an example, you can actually post publicly what we've learned through feedback. Here's some things that we've implemented and we've changed through feedback. And now your team, your employees they're seeing that you're actually paying attention and things are moving in the right direction whenever feedback is actually given. Now, here's what I need you to do. Go into the comments and drop one piece of feedback that you've encountered or you've received from your team during your leadership journey. And also put in there how you handled that situation. And if you want to get more tools or go deeper into this topic, then just go to the link below and join our community over at the Pinnacle Circle. Now, here's some things I want you to keep in mind as you're working through your feelings when you get feedback that may be unwanted and may feel like your team member is attacking you. When you're leading, lead with mission, not with ego. What are we here for? It's not about how I feel right now. It's not about my feelings. It's about what is the mission? What is our goal? What are we here for? Number 2, feelings are real, but they are not the driver. Keep that in mind. They're real, but they're not the driver. Intentional leaders are going to recognize their feeling and they're going to be thankful for those feelings, but they're going to fact check those feelings as well. Number 3, the speed of implementation is better than the speed of reaction. If you're making small, fast improvements, you'll show your team that their voice and their opinion matters. And number 4, vulnerability does not equal weakness. Owning your trigger, it models courage and then also psychological safety. Now, if you feel like you've received any kind of value from this video, which I hope you have, I hope that you would also keep rocking with me over here at Genetik Leadership. Also, don't forget to do the YouTube things, like, subscribe, share, but most importantly, keep shining, keep growing, keep leading with intentionality, with purpose, with clarity and conviction. And most of all, come back again as we give you more here at Genetik Endeavors and Genetik Leadership. I will see you next time. Peace.